I'm Allendale's Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Current surface analysis across the country shows that we have some thunderstorms still holding on, moving across parts of Indiana. Thunderstorms have been a little bit strong. They originated in eastern parts of Illinois, and they've done a fairly decent job of holding together. The reason they can, the air mass is perfect for the development of pop-up thunderstorms like this. You've got a nice, warm, humid air mass in play, and you get just a little bit of instability going, and these thunderstorms can fire off pretty much at will. I don't think we're done with this phenomenon for the rest of the week. Over the entirety of the Corn Belt, we can see on-again, off-again thunderstorms firing off. The thing is, on any given day, you're probably only looking at 10 to 15% of the Corn Belt seeing this action, so it's not a wide-ranging deal. But, for example, today, we've seen the bulk of the action hit some of the areas that so far have been talked about as being drier, as missing out on the rains. Now, I'll be the first one to admit, as you see these work through, there are still going to be lots of holes out there. So I'm not saying that people that need rain the worst are going to be getting moisture, but we have a good 5 to 6 more days of this kind of setup. So there are chances now that we can see some moisture in your area over the next week. We see our next good front not working through the Corn Belt until sometime from late Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, right on into early Tuesday. That front on the latest model runs, including what came out earlier this morning, not as impressive. I still think there's moisture there. This morning in our online write-up, we backed the moisture totals up to about 1/4 to 1 inch. I feel comfortable leaving moisture totals there. I think you're probably going to be seeing a lot of the moisture skewed to the lower end of that range, but you have to leave a little bit of wiggle room in there for stronger thunderstorms. I think we will see some of those just due to the fact that we will see temperatures behind the front be cooler, back near normal, versus the well above normal temperatures that we're seeing across the region right now on through into Sunday. So thunderstorms will be a big part of the next system, whether or not we can get heavy rains from them or not. Going forward then, behind that front, we should see temperatures back close to normal. Next front shows up around the 11th into the 12th. It, too, not as impressive as it was maybe a couple of days ago, but it still is one of those sagging, drawn-out fronts that hits a large part of the area. I still like coverage 70, 80%. That's a little bit lower than what we had been talking, but it's still decent for this time of year. I like rainfall totals, 1/2, 3/4 of an inch. Again, that's under what we had been talking, but it's moisture nonetheless, and there's plenty of time for moisture to get funneled back into this system. The key takeaway I have from that front toward the 11th and 12th is what comes in behind. I see a fairly significant cool down coming. Initially, it'll be with a zonal flow pattern, a very stable west to east flow across the country. However, toward the end of the 15 to 16-day period, we're getting signs from at least one model that says the ridge will come back over the western third to half of the country, and we'll see a decent trough holding, digging in over the east. That'll keep temperatures normal to below for the Corn Belt, most of the Corn Belt, center and eastern part of the country, and then we should be back above normal farther off to the west. That also would lend itself to a little bit better precipitation development. You get an active storm track between warm air versus cold air, and so we might see the jet stream come through and actually increase chances for moisture in the second half of the month. By no means are we stepping up and saying it's going to be wet the second half of September. Don't want to say that at all. We're just starting to see some signs that maybe this zonal flow pattern that's been advertised, that probably will develop. Maybe it's not going to be a longer-term issue. Maybe we go back to the kind of flow pattern we've seen across this country for most of this year. Not looking at any other major issues, I will say that up in Canada, we've had some rains in areas that we don't really need it. Harvest underway, whether it's still spring wheat or whether it's canola. Either way, they could use a break. I still see moisture coming here midweek, and especially a big system from this weekend into early next week. Looks like it will hit most of Saskatchewan, most of Manitoba, and western Ontario. So we could still be dealing with some issues up there with regard to too much moisture. The rest of North America looks pretty much okay. That's the way your forecast is stacking up. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.